Race drivers, it's Enzo with something a little bit different today. I'm going to take an interview that I did with BSDrivers, which is, it's BackSeat Drivers. When I say BSDrivers, it's Gus Burton, who's a race winner in Porsche Carrera Cup and championship winner in British GT, and Jordan Albert, who's also a great driver in British GT. And I went to see them, did an interview, nice long interview, and there was so much information in there that I think is valuable, especially to you guys. I wanted to chunk it down. I wanted to clip it down, take clips, and I've done 13 clips, by the way, and with a little talk in between, sat in front of the camera like this to explain it a little bit more on all the different topics, because I know there's something in here that will help you. And these are the topics. It's like how I got started, racing with no money, convincing a team, Liam's story of getting to F1, Oliver Bearman, what he did in Baku and false limitations, some sponsorship stuff there. And I tried to put it all in to give you what I'd say is one of the most valuable episodes I can actually make. And I'm going to speak up in between each clip and just elaborate a little bit more, tell you a bit more about it, and then introduce the next clip. And that's how it's going to work. So I think this can be really good for you. I hope it is anyway. The first clip is how I got started.
Talk to us about, you were in that very position of not having much money, I understand, when you were younger, wanting to break into racing. Parents, from what I understand from your socials, weren't particularly enthusiastic about that idea. How did you even start?
It took me a while, actually. That's why I was about 17 when I actually did start. Did a bit of karting indoor, so you go there, pay your 20 quid.
Yeah.
Like, I love this, watching F1 and all that. And just miles away. So to give you a background, my dad moved over in the 60s. He was 18 from Italy. He's just a farmer.
That where the cool name comes from?
Mario. He's Mario, I'm Enzo.
Right,
and he's got a moustache and everything like that.
Yeah.
He set up a pizza shop. Works really hard, obviously. Mum's a Brummie.
Yeah.
They met, obviously.
Perfect mix, that.
Yeah, it's great. Enzo with a Brummie accent. There you go.
Fantastic.
So I was born in Redditch into a council estate. So I was really, it wasn't a wealthy lifestyle. And he built the business up. We got to kind of, I'd say middle class, but still nothing to do with racing. You couldn't afford that. So we lived in a nice detached house now. Lived life, delivered pizzas for my dad. And then I got the bug of I want to be a race driver. And all I did was worked in a factory, became a mechanic. I just did all sorts of different jobs to kind of save the money. And that took 2 years to buy a car. Bought a Formula Ford for like $4,000.
Yeah.
That was it. Just go.
And that was from a bank loan?
It was everything. So it was bank loan, my money. So I probably saved up 15.
How did you get a bank loan to say?
To buy a car.
Oh, right. Okay, right. Yeah,
I did anything to get the money. Got the money together, borrowed a trailer, stuck it on the back of the car, and just drove it to the tracks and did club racing. So I did that for a year, won that championship in the second year, did half a season of F3 with the secondary F3 championship, then British GTs and stuff like that. But basically, I just had to hustle. And I couldn't aim too high. So I think I spent actually thinking about it the first year dreaming of Formula Vauxhall Junior, which was a thing then. 100 and something grand to do, talking to the teams, trying to get sponsorship, but it just wasn't working. And then I thought, right, I just need to race anything. And that's what I still preach now. It's just start. But just go and race lawnmowers if you have to. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be the sexy championships.
This is an important clip for so many of you because I get a lot of messages from drivers asking about how do I get started in motorsport. I've got no money. I've got big dreams but no money. I'm from a country where racing isn't really that popular, so it's difficult. So I'm going to have to move to a country, which is the answer, by the way, move to a country where the motorsport industry is strong and start my career there. But it's scary. Well, humble beginnings. Right? And I raced for a number of years and then I found my calling, which was coaching, human performance, inside and outside the sport. So it was my journey to go through racing, but I still, on that journey, proved that with just a minimum wage job, I could go racing with a lot of commitment, taking time to do it. Because actually what I said in this video was at 17 years old, but actually I remember I was at school. So I must have been 15 when I did a shootout in a Formula Ford. I was too young, they wouldn't let me win it because you had to be 16, but they still let me take part in this shootout. I was driving around an airfield in a Formula Ford I had the bug then. So I had the bug a lot earlier than what I thought I did in this interview. But it was 17, 18, 19 when I started to get going. And it was 1996 when I bought the car. Get this, guys. I worked out, because it's just amazing how your memory goes over the years, but I worked out that I was 19 then. So I actually got the car at 19 years old. So don't think that you're too old. Even if you're 22 and you want to get started, just do it. Just find something you can race, which leads us into the next clip, which is talking about club racing and just doing a championship that you can actually get the money in for. It's a lot better than nothing.
Because there's a lot of there's people that listen to us to this podcast that sometimes want to know how to even start, right? And you see, they maybe see their peers who in esports that are going into F4, Formula Regional, F3, and it's like, oh, if I'm not doing that, I can't ever be a driver. It's like it's very easy to just think that's the only path. But if you're like in your position, what you did well is you just race whatever you could, anything with any sort of money, and that's what people need to do. Even if it's a Ford Fiesta or it's just rental karting, just get out there, do what you can do, and try and build an image as well. You can still document your stuff even if you're just doing club level stuff. That's
it's
what
totally affordable. I'm going to say it's affordable. It's 20k, right, to do MX5 for the year. I'm sure that most of us can come up with a way, even if it takes 4 years to save up, to hustle their way to afford 20k and get like 10 sponsors giving 100 quid each. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm sure they can do it. So I don't think there's any excuse.
I really hope that does hit home, that there is racing out there. You might have to go and travel to a different country, of course, we know that, but there's something out there that you can actually race if you put your mind to earning the money. If you have a goal that's actually achievable. I just want to get on track in anything, even if it's like a glorified track day championship, or if you're starting karts, it's rental karting. And you just go to these championships where you just pay and drive. There's plenty of them just to get your foot in the door. So you start to learn how the industry works. You start to make contacts. You get these tiny, tiny little sponsors, which we'll talk about later. And you can start your journey. It's much better to do that than sit at home dreaming of the big championships and never getting the money in. I'd rather you be active in the industry than sat at home. Next, I want to give you some tips if you really haven't got the cash.
You're very unlikely to get someone to say, here's 20 grand for a title sponsorship for Mazda MX-5. Just not really realistic unless you've got some very rich friends.
Yeah.
But you could get a lot of people to put in, like you said, 500 quid, maybe $1,000 if you're lucky.
Just do the math.
Yeah. And it would really help. But so say if I'm sat in front of you, I'm 15, 16 years old, and I'm saying to you, look, it's impossible to start racing for me. I can't get the sponsorship. I love it. I want this to be my career, but it's, not a reality. My family doesn't have money. I can't get the sponsorship. I don't have the contacts, all of the excuses.
Yep.
What would you sit here and say?
I'd just walk them through and say, copy what I did and what all these other people do. It's like find the cheapest. I mean, the Fiestas is probably even cheaper than that, right? I think patience is something they lack because they want it now. They're not willing to work for 2 years and say, I've got to start 2 years later. I'm never going to make it. We haven't got the money. So just graft, and actually probably beat it more than 10 years, or less than 2 years, sorry. You graft, you save, you wash cars, you do anything you can. I mean, now it's even easier, right, with the internet.
Yeah.
You can see on Facebook Marketplace, just scroll down. Oh, there's something for sale. It could be anything, old laptop or anything, a desk. And you just go and pick it up for free, go and sell it for 20 quid. Just hustle like that every day.
Yeah.
And it won't take long.
Yeah.
You got to sell a lot of tables for a 20 quid profit, but people are earning money like that now. So I don't think there's any excuse now to not earn money. So I think it's not an excuse because you do feel stuck, right? You're like, I can't get the money to race, it's up there. But actually, right, do the math. 20k. I spoke to all the teams, that's what I can get away with. And I think it is still 20k, right? I'm sure they can reverse engineer that, say, right, I need to earn 500 quid a month. And I can do it. Extra.
Yeah.
Of course. They can do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Don't get a bank loan, though, because
I
luckily I got the car for like 4.
Yeah.
It did all right, top 10. Sold it for $1,000 more. So I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Even though I spent more than that on it.
Absolutely.
It was a shed, though. It was literally like Cool Runnings. You seen that film?
Yeah.
It was that bobsleigh at the beginning. It was terrible, but I loved it.
And then leading on from Gus's question on how to actually start racing like you did, but there are people that have started that are in Mazdas or Fiestas, similar to what you did. How do you maintain the journey of racing? Because some people are stuck and can't race again. A lot of people I know can't afford to race anymore. How do you think people continue racing?
Well, you've got to have a little bit of gift of the gab, which I think a lot of people struggle with. So they've got to sell themselves and bang down the doors of the next tier, saying, I haven't quite got the money, but I'm going to win in your car. This is what I did. And I don't think I spent much more money after that first year, just through hustling. And the problem is if you're not fast and you've got no charisma, so you don't talk to anybody, but you've got a big dream, it's like you're trapped.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like, okay, I'm going to have to join someone who can sell me, my uncle or someone who's really good at getting me in the door to this other team. And I need to win. I just need to win. Because I think when you're winning, things do kind of happen a bit more, don't they?
They do.
And if you're shouting loud enough through social media, you're documenting it, like you said earlier, I think then hopefully something comes. But there's no template. It's just win, get people to say yes. That's it.
Yeah.
What else is there?
I know it sounds simplistic, the way I worded it, but there's thousands of ways that you can earn cash. And I'm sure if you've got the intelligence to sit down, watch this, press play, find your way to YouTube, press play and listen, you've got the intelligence to earn £500, euros, dollars more each month. Extra on top of what you're earning now by doing other stuff. You've just got so much at our fingertips now to earn money. You don't just have to go out and wash cars and things like I used to do. You can actually do it on the internet from your home. And there's kids at 12 years old earning six figures, right, doing this. You've seen them on the internet. It is possible. So let's just start to remove them limiting beliefs about I can't do it, I haven't got the money, I'm not from the right country, and do something about it. It's going to be a long, long journey for you to get the money in. It might take 4 years for you to save up and come up with the ideas along the way, fail, lose money, earn it again. But I'm sure you can figure this out. Next clip is convincing a team. This is the kind of thing you got to do when you haven't got much cash either. This is Gus' story.
Really?
Well, ironically, on that subject, that's exactly... I remember I messaged you a few months ago, like, I've got this sponsor, they might be doing title sponsorship for Germany and Super Cup. Lo and behold, that fell through.
I was going to say, what happened?
They just ghosted me. Like, literally got to, this was a hundreds and hundreds of thousands deal to fully fund Germany and Super Cup for me. And this went on. This went on until like early December. We'd flown out to meet them. We'd got contracts ready. They'd agreed for everything. They wanted like top-notch hospitality and stuff, and everything like that. And then, I was even messaging you, like, I was like, the contract's literally done, but I was like, I'm still not gonna.
Yeah, you would know. No way.
Just wait. And then I went quiet on you. They went quiet on me.
Yeah.
And then that left me in a position where, no one's interested in talking business around Christmas. Then we're into the new year, and then I had a sponsor who'd agreed to support me, who then backed out literally a few weeks ago. And I did exactly what you just said, and I sat in front of a really nice team owner. And this might be the reason why I'm racing this year. Mm-hmm. And I sat down there, and I didn't want to screw him around. And he was in the UK for a bit, and I sat down with him and just said, look, drove 2 or 3 hours to him just to meet him face to face, because I know that's my strong point.
Yep.
And I just said, look, I have no money. And I said, if I were you, I'd be asking why I have no money when I've had the whole off season. Here's why. I'm not going to make a massive sob story about it. This is what's happened. Right now, I've got nothing. I'll work as hard as I can to get something. But rather than listen to me, I was like, I can win a championship in your car. I know I can, and I believe that genuinely. That's not BS.
Yep.
But, I said to him, rather than listen to me talk about how good I am, I can't pay for it, but I'll come out to wherever you're testing, get me in a car and I'll prove it. And I did.
My goodness.
And that might be why I'm driving this year.
Mate, that's it. You just said it all in one there.
Yeah.
And how many drivers do you think do that?
Not many. Well, I think a lot of drivers might they might go and sit in front of them and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I might have this amount of money," and what. The last thing you want to do is ever, for lack of a better term, bullshit someone.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I wanted to do, it was like, it wasn't as blunt as this, but I was like, you can tell me to F off now, but here's my situation, or you can give me a chance.
Something opens up there, though, doesn't it? And even in a team, a solid faced team manager, it's like, oh, you remind me of me, or you deserve a chance. I've just got this spoiled kid who will pay me, but actually, I want you in the car. Yeah, mate. Honestly, it's huge.
Yeah. And this is what people forget. You know, this is as well with Gus saying that this is from someone who Gus is one of the best drivers I know. Mm-hmm. Someone who's won. Mate. That's all right. Someone who's won British GT, won multiple races in Porsche.
Yeah,
and still has no one coming to him to sponsor him.
Yeah,
you have to put yourself in the right environment in front of the right people, and negotiate on your own. Everyone's has everything to do on their own.
Well, I would say as well, hope for the best with sponsorship and expect the worst.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what's happened to me, and I think you create your own luck to an extent. You might feel like you're getting nowhere. Like I was in a pretty bad mental space just in terms of the stressing about racing fairly recently.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on. I'm thinking, it's a big first world problem for me. But I've had the privilege of being able to race cars since I was 14. All I've known is racing since I was 9, and really been trying to make a career out of it the last 4 years. And I thought, God, I've gone from doing Formula One weekends last year on Super Cup, Porsche Great Britain weekends last year, winning races, and now I might be completely out of the job.
Well, I tell you what, top marks for doing it, but now, oh mate, you've just been offered a little nugget of the future.
Yeah, it's
like I've got to fill that white space with sponsors now.
This
for next year.
To be brutally honest, this is what I needed.
Yeah, you did.
Because
totally. You can just ride on a wave. It's easy, right?
Because I haven't had it handed on a plate to me, but the last few years, my parents supported my early years of racing and have helped fill in any gaps that needed to be filled in. But the last 2 years has been solely done of sponsorship. But you do get in this sort of mindset of like, oh, this is just going to happen now. Do you know what I mean? I've raced at Super Cup, blah, blah. Hopefully I'll do that next year.
Yeah.
It's not a definite, obviously, but I've got a newfound hunger that I haven't had in a while to really go out there and prove myself. Because like you just said about telling young kids it's make or break, I've got that feeling in me now, and I've had this potentially amazing opportunity from a wonderful team boss who sort of sees hope in me. And I'm not asking for handouts. I said, look, I'm going to work as hard as I can throughout the season to get little sponsors, big sponsors, whatever. I've got the network, but I just need time, and I basically need them to commit to me for the early part of the season, so I can get the funding for the last 3 quarters to all the cool races we're doing. I won't give away what it is yet because it's not announced, but that opportunity, I want to prove to him that I'm worth it. I want to prove to myself that I've got it. And I want to prove to manufacturers that I'm worthy of a factory drive.
If you've got the results, don't be afraid to pick up the phone to teams and sell yourself. As I mentioned, I think most of my driving was on that. Even with sponsors, people to help me get sponsorship. I remember calling up a PR team, a PR firm, and actually I went through all the different PR firms, the same thing until one bit. And I basically said, I'm a British champion. Which wasn't really that correct. I'd won a championship, Formula Ford, that was in Britain, but I just said I'm a British championship winning race driver. It's kind of true. And I'm looking to partner with a PR team. I haven't actually got any money to pay a PR team, but I can attract clients from motorsport and to your company, so you can earn money from me. And there was one that actually said yes, which is really good. Good luck for me. And I worked with them for years, and they did my logo, they did my website, they put out, they created sponsorship brochures for me. I worked with them, and I did land them a whale. I think it was like 300 grand's worth of bloody custom that I got from a British touring car team to them. So it was a win-win. They were helping me find sponsorship because they had clients as well on the books, remember? So it's good when I've got something that helps a company in the PR side of things and you're with a PR company because they've got clients that can say, you know what, Enzo's racing, or he's got this, and we could help promote your brand through his racing. They've got them contacts already. So you've got to think on this level. I'm really proud of myself back then. I was thinking of this in my teens or early 20s, but it worked. It got me within a team and I got some races out of them. It wasn't a full season, but still I had to eke my way through. Same with race teams. If you're winning, you can knock on their door and offer that to them. In this clip, I want to talk about the stresses, the reality of being a race driver.
By the way, if you're ever going to get into racing, it is the most stressful thing in the world. It looks like it's fun, and it is. Once you're on track, it's great. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's 90%. It's not a 90% disaster when you're on track, but it's worth it for the 10% success you get.
Yeah.
But everything around it is a tornado of events. You've got to schedule your own life around it, you know, but it has to be priority. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have people let you down. You're going to have people come and give you opportunities, but you've got to go out and find it.
Yeah, and it's brutal actually. Like the Formula route is exactly the same. No one looks. You can't say many F1 drivers look happy, right?
No,
it's just stress.
Yeah.
It's just panic. Am I going to be in next year? What's going to happen? You know, there's personal stuff happening because now it's different when you're high profile, right?
Yeah,
you just have things. It's never nice.
No.
That's why they always say, oh, the karting days. They were so cool.
Yeah.
We used to get out and just thrash around, play football in between.
Yeah.
Them days are gone.
Yeah.
Same with everything though, right?
Yeah.
You hear movie stars say the same thing.
But people
They're
also
trying to escape on drugs. You see singers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. You're like, what?
Yeah.
You got an amazing
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But when you're there, it's different.
But people also say to me, if I'm, say, at just a normal social event like family dinner or something, you know, they're like, oh, you're racing Porsches at 19, at 20, at 21, you know, around the world. That's just amazing. Like, you must enjoy that so much. And the short answer is yes, but I think people see it as like a jolly, you know, doing a fun track day, driving around a track, whereas actually, before you get in the car, you're absolutely bricking yourself most of the time because you've got a lot of external pressure sometimes from sponsors, and that will happen as you get better and better. You get more and more external pressure. Yep. If you don't already have it from your parents or whatever, you'll then have it from the team if they're giving you an opportunity like I might be having this year, from sponsors that are funding all your racing. If you're not at the front getting the TV coverage, they're not going to like it.
Yeah.
But my point there is it's only fun when you've performed, and your whole career is on the line every time you go out on track in front of a crowd to prove yourself.
I don't want to put a Debbie Downer on being a race driver, of course, because we love doing it. And drivers, they live with that passion of being a race driver. Just understand it's not that easy. When you're there, it becomes your new normal, okay? And you get used to it very quick. And you start to see the negative sides of it. And you're trying to get to the next step. It never changes, no matter what level you're on. Say if you've reached your dreams, you're always, if you're a striver, which I know you are because you're watching this, you always want more. You want next, you want progress, you want to grow as a person. So then that makes you poo-poo the area you're in. And understand that no matter how high you are, it actually gets more difficult. It's easier to stay at home and watch racing and enjoy it and then just go for your daily life without being a race driver. When you are a race driver, you're being attacked constantly. So I want you to have this kind of this insight to what it's really like up there. You're never secure. You're always worrying about the next year. Just a heads up. It's not all fluffy. And I want to prepare you as best as I can. Now let's bring it back to something that happened last year, which was Liam Lawson's F1 debut in Zandvoort. We chat about that.
Yeah, talk to us about those pressures, especially in Formula One. So obviously you've done some incredible work with drivers over the years, but going into more of Liam Lawson's story, who you've worked with very closely for many years. Yeah. What are the pressures like? You know, he made his debut in F1 last year at Zandvoort.
It was huge, that was.
Which was an incredible story on its own. You know, what are the pressures like in F1 on that scale?
It's amazing actually how F1 is still similar to the other championships when you're in it. Oh, it's a car. You've got team working on it. You see behind the scenes, it's actually not as glamorous as you think, as you can imagine. With Liam, it was funny because on the Friday morning, he was there at Zandvoort. I was there, not with him, but I was, because I was with Oli Bearman in the F2. So I went to see him. And he was kind of like frustrated, when am I going to get my shot and all this? Like, you're doing all the right things. You're here. You're doing well in the racing because it was a super formula, fighting for the title there. Everything's good. Don't worry. But you know what drivers are like. They're worried about it not going to plan and impatient. And then 24 hours later, well, actually that day, obviously Ricciardo did his wrist in.
Yep.
You're up. And he's like, oh, why here? It's like, man, this is what we spoke about hours ago. Come on.
Yeah.
But that's, again, right? You're like, oh, not now. It's wet.
Wow.
I haven't driven this car. Zandvoort is different to when I last drove it. It's a different layout. And I'm on the stage in FP3. And it's kind of like, that's pressure.
Yeah, and you don't even have the whole weekend to work it out. You've just
Straight
got the
in.
last practice and qualifying.
What did he say to you after the first F1 session? What was his feedback?
That was I can't believe how fast Max is, because Max overtook him, obviously, at one point. I think, is that qualifying or not? I don't know. It was wet anyway.
Yeah.
How the hell's he doing that with the car? And then he tried it and spun, if you remember.
Yeah. Last corner, right?
Yeah. Then he stayed out of the barrier just about, or didn't do damage. But still, it was like, okay, right, it's amazing. This is the shot you wanted. So that sort of talk of like, we want this. There's no losing here. You can't lose. So sort of changing the way a driver will see a certain situation changes the way they feel about it. So, okay, think about how I can word this to give the driver positive outlook. This is amazing. I'm going to get in this car. It's what I've wanted. I've worked so hard for it, so I deserve it. Because obviously it can go into self-belief if you're not careful. Am I good enough to actually do this? Keep them away from that, which is the same with every pressure. It's like, what have we got to do? I've got to speak to the engineer, get really specced up. I know the wheel, how it works and stuff. A few things I want changing. So as soon as you start to get their mind onto process, just do this first. Then it starts to calm down. And before you know it, he's in the car. And then he's just driving. It's like, okay.
It's just the same at the end of the day, isn't it?
And he has driven F1, but obviously not that much, but not that car, I don't think, up to that point.
So how and when did you find out that he had been called up last minute? Liam.
It was probably only 2 hours before the media did, I think. I can't remember when it broke. Was it Saturday morning or Friday night?
I can't remember either.
It was.
I think it was literally the morning of.
I could check my phone. It's a text saying it looks like he's done his wrist, and I've been told by so and so in the team that I could be in the car. And, I've been asked, "Am I ready?" He's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Shaking his head. Of course I am. And so it's probably like 2 hours before the world knew, should we say? So it's like brilliant, fantastic.
And how does that feel for you as a coach / manager?
Switch on, go. What's this kid need straight away? What's he need to? Because I know he's going to be freaking out at some point.
Yeah.
What's he need now? Okay, go and have the talk. Calm down. Get it one step at a time. How do you warm these tires up? So just keep their head there, and then you'll be fine.
He did a phenomenal
You don't even
job.
think about how you feel. It's like, geez, this is on. Go.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like all systems go.
Must have been a proud moment though for you.
I think it is
Or
when
maybe
you're watching...
once you digested it, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I can't even think it was proud. It was just... I don't know. It wasn't there. It wasn't... I think this sport kicks the crap out of you that much.
Yeah.
Coach as well. You're afraid to celebrate.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like, right, we've won. Oh, what next?
Yeah.
It's really bad.
What's going to go wrong, basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's done. That's a tick. We did something right. We're going to get our ass handed to us next time out.
Yeah.
So it's like a driver. It's constantly revolving. And if you're winning, they're coming. So it's the same as that, really. It's like, right, what's next? No, we've got to prepare for the next race weekend.
That clip pretty much proves that even when you get your shot, it's still not ideal. You've got to be ready to shine. If you're selling yourself to teams, to sponsors, when you get the yes, when you get your chance, you've got to make sure, even if you're bricking yourself, that you are ready and you can deliver. No point just dreaming about something, saying you're the best, even though you haven't got really the results. Just dreaming this stuff. If when it comes to it, you got the gun to your head and they say, go on then, that you can actually fulfill what you've promised. So make sure you're training on all these things, the peripherals. So if you go into a sponsor and you're saying you're going to sell them all this stuff, make sure that you've got the meeting planned already. You know what you're going to say. You know that you're good at talking to people you've never met before. You can talk to a room of people. If all of a sudden there's like quite a lot of people in there when you're doing your sponsorship meeting, train that stuff so you're ready. That's what we did with Liam, obviously, because he was racing in F2 and Super Formula and all this. But also we trained on what if it does happen? How are you going to handle it? There you go. It happened. And talking to Liam, this is his way. Now, what we talk about in this next clip, this is his way to F1, how he managed it.
So, yeah, I'd heard about Liam that, I mean, obviously not like, you know, from the slums necessarily, I don't know. But
just normal.
Yeah, he's just normal.
Yeah.
So how... My question, but especially to the viewers or listeners, is how the hell, if you come from a normal background, do you end up in FIA F3, F2? I mean, forget the earlier steps that are still ludicrously expensive, but how the hell do you break into Formula 3? We're talking 1.5 million ish.
Yeah.
Formula 2, we're talking 2 million plus. You know, how?
It is mad, and he's got a great story there as well, because they didn't have the money. They could do karting, I think, but that was about it. He won a scholarship. Now, because he's so good at getting in the car and going, scholarships were his way forward, and there was a scholarship called Speed Sport set up by Grant McDonald and someone else, and he won that. And it gives you Formula First season.
Right.
So that's it, done, first year. Brilliant.
Cool.
He did really well in that, got spotted, did Formula Ford after that, which I think he started to get partners then in New Zealand to pay for the racing. Did F4 Australia, still not his own money, because they couldn't afford it, I don't think. More sponsors, a collection of sponsors, so some giving a little bit, some giving more. And all of this was generated, this income, by a janitor at a high school doing it in his free time.
What, finding him the money?
Yeah. Grant McDonald. It's his closest thing to a manager he's got.
Yeah.
And he has rallied people up in New Zealand to just pay for this kid who's definitely going to F1, selling it on that dream. Yeah, I'll be a part of it. So there's a big collection of people just putting money in the pot. Some genuine sponsors on the car. Others are just silent investors, but that bloke had to work like mad.
That's unbelievable.
And he hardly ever comes over either because he's just working class as well. It's an amazing story. So that kid had no money to go racing.
Yeah.
No real education, not that you need it, but he has got to where he is through that, and that took him up to Red Bull level. They obviously help out a little bit, like most programs do, but the rest is still them investors, still putting money in after like 5 years, thinking he's going to get to F1.
That's insane.
So all of it is off other people's money and hard work.
He had a good chance as well of getting into... I mean, it was basically, from what I understand, sort of him or Ricardo sort of for the AlphaTauri seat for what?
Could have been anyone though, right?
Yeah, I
could
guess.
Have just called someone.
But Red Bull are that, aren't they? They're so cutthroat.
Yeah. But it is, it's basically win or you're out. And that's, to be honest, mate, that's the way the sport should be.
Yeah.
So I can't go against Red Bull on that.
So with a lot of help from a lot of people, you can make it. Even if you're too old for F1 or your driving skills not good enough for F1, let's be honest. You've got to be like virtually the top 20, let's say top 50 drivers in the world to get a shot. You have to have super license points and all this lot. So you've got to be the kind of person who can deliver on track, of course, to a certain extent, but win people over. Get people invested. Right, this clip is all about the traits of top drivers. I don't list out the top traits, of course, but we talk to and fro what we think makes a great driver.
With someone like, I was speaking to Jordan before the podcast, one question I really wanted to ask you, it'd just be interesting to hear your opinion on, or what you've seen, is what separates someone that has the talent and can win races in F2 and Formula E. We saw it with like Nick De Vries, has the talent and is clearly capable, and then someone that goes out and no matter what the car setup, the conditions, the whatever, your Max Verstappen's, your Lewis Hamilton's, maybe Ollie Bearman, Antonelli that we're hearing about coming up through the ranks. How and why, what separates them from the rest who might have a similar talent level, but they are able to extract the best out of themselves in the car every time?
Without dissecting the brain and knowing what actual abilities they're given, I would say, well, think about Top Gun, the film? What's the difference between Maverick? Can you name another one? Not Goose, because he's in the back.
Yeah.
Iceman, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
What's the difference between them two? Or actually one that you don't really talk about? It's the millimeter stuff. It's like I drive. I tell you what really helps some drivers. It's going a bit old school and feeling the car and having a really good feel of what it's doing. Not what I want to do in my career. I'm just driving this car and I'm extracting as much as I can from this tire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're putting the grip where they want it to be, and they've got that skill and they learned it. Like when you get the New Zealand kids come over, I've had quite a few and they're all good enough for F1.
Yeah.
Stanaway, Hartley, who actually did make it, Liam, and even the new kid, Louis Sharp. They come because they've started with really young. They're in the car at 13. That helps. So when their brain is being coded, they're actually in a car. They're not waiting until after. So that's cool. That really helps. But it's Formula Ford, stick shift, Formula First. It's sliding around and all this. And they come along with brilliant skills. Whether they can feel the car and they have to manipulate it. Yeah. It's not like a lot of drivers who just chase a brake shape. And they just go out there with that that thought in their head. And that's not mastery.
I think some drivers look for the way to be quick. Do you know what I mean? The one strategy, the secret to being fast, but there isn't really one. You have to have that initial feeling.
You haven't got like a template of this is how you train a driver and this is how they should be to be a champion. There isn't really one, because there'll be a Kimi Räikkönen that comes along. Yeah. Who's 2 days ago was having a drink and now he's just poled it. So there's always that. But what you said, I bet they all have. Yeah. And it's just that I was watching Max really close when I was coaching his teammate in F3. It's the only year he did in cars. It's crazy in junior levels. Yeah. But he's 15, maybe 16 then in this F3 car. And I know our car had a bit of understeer in the team. And it was turn 12 at Hungary. You raced atUngary.
You've raced there, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so turn 12,
yeah.
so downhill right.
Got absolutely shafted there, yeah.
Are you joking me? What was that, mate? Understand his frustration.
You could just see on the onboard, he literally had just braked, come off the brake, smashed me, and then I was like P20 again. But Great. Anyway, back to your story.
So I stood on the inside of that corner, not that weekend, obviously, and I watched him try and rotate it on the entry. Couldn't. So, okay, next lap. He went over the apex curb and it kicked the rear out, like a karting style, but in F3. Yeah. And it was beautiful. And I was like, oh, he's figuring this out at 16. Yeah. We're screwed. Yeah. What the hell is that? And then I just kept seeing it. I kept seeing things throughout the year. Driving on the data, Gus could match him now and then, right? It was like he actually qualified him in Spa, actually. So it's not about that so much. It's all the little bits. So it was drying at Hockenheim, the stadium corner, probably another one you've done. And dry line on the right where everyone should be. Yeah. He was still driving on the left in practice. And I was like, what the hell's he doing? But he's actually just, if it's going to be like that in the race, I want to know what it's like to overtake there. Could have been. I didn't ask him. Yeah. He was also rotating it and just still the same. I was doing split times and it was still a very similar split time to someone on a dry line. Wow. I was like, no one even does that. They just stick to the dry line, think of lap time. Yeah. But now he was just testing stuff. And I'm like, I can imagine actually as a kid, your dad sent you out, no matter what the weather conditions, no matter what the tires, slicks or whatever, learn. And that is also a contributing factor to people who are good. I tried to sign Max up when he was in karts at PFI with that Gravity company I was with. We were trying to talent scout and was like, this is a good one. He was against George Russell that year. It was a world champs, I think. And I went to see him and he knew we were coming. His dad had said, it's fine. We got Red Bull talking to us and all this. And I kind of like gave him some hints on track. And I don't know karting. It's just something I could see he wasn't doing that the others were. I told him and he's like this, looking me in the eyes, right? Really taking it in. Yeah. I was like, Jesus. And then he goes and does it. Whatever that was, I can't remember. I was like, that's coachable. Yeah. Like he's used to being told something and he's respectful enough not to say, what do you know? Yeah. Because I didn't know, but I wondered whether
that was what you were about to say, actually, whether he was just going to be like, F off.
No. He was like there. I was like, wow, okay, this kid listens. And I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
This was before we even knew how good he'd be. So actually, when he was signed up to F1, I just thought, I can't wait for you guys to see what this is. Because everyone was poo-pooing it.
Yeah.
I was like, dudes, you wait till it's wet. He's going to kill
Wasn't he
all
in
of you.
F1 at 17?
Oh.
And did his
Didn't
test-
matter. He was ready. So
Yeah.
Raikkonen was the same. You saw him at, halfway through the first car year. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
You're fine. You'll be fine. So how'd you actually recreate that? Some of it must be DNA.
Yeah.
Right, this one's a bit different. Don't put other drivers on pedestals.
But when I was in that situation of, sometimes I'll qualify 5th, sometimes I'll qualify 15th, I would look at the guy that's always winning and just think like I can't do that.
Yep.
Or I would think, how's he doing that? And if he came up behind me, say in a reverse grid race, or he's had a shocking quali, I would brick myself. I would just be like, he's coming past, might as well let him past anyway. And then as I grew up and I proved to myself that I was good enough, that just went away.
Yeah.
And I don't have that attitude at all anymore. And I actually want to make sure I'm that person where if people see me in the rearview mirror, they know I'm coming past or going to try and come past.
That's a belief system. I don't mean self-belief. I mean, if you had one belief, you can only go so quick in this car. Even if you've done it 7 years in a row, you hit a ceiling, right? You can't carry on getting quicker. The tyres only got so much grip. I've just got to figure out how to do this, get this car through this corner. If you get your head there, all of a sudden you start to okay, that belief now I can do whatever. Maybe it's got a quicker engine. Could be something out of your control.
Yeah.
But if you've really got a belief that the car can only go so quick, I've just got to figure it out. And he's figured it out somehow, or the team have. I can do that. It's possible. Then I think you go on, don't you? And then you've got proof because you've done it at least numerous times, should we say?
Yeah.
And then that backs it up, and then all of a sudden you're not like you used to be.
Yeah.
And I remember that Formula Ford first year being overtaken by he's probably in his 50s because it's club racing, but he's been winning for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
One of them raced against Mansell, all this wow. I remember Cadwell Park, who's going past me, was like, oh. Like he was Jesus walking on water.
Yeah.
And then the next year we were fighting like this. So it was completely different.
Yeah.
So, and he was running my car actually as well because I was his teammate. So it is amazing how the first time it's like that, but you grow out of it, I think, hopefully.
Yeah.
Don't put people on pedestals.
No.
Like when you like you say when you're going up to F1, we're trying to build a driver now to compete against Max.
Yeah.
Not to be like, oh, Max is up there.
Yeah.
True.
Which is
And he's
sort
going to
of
have been there 10 years by then.
Yeah, which is sort of what I heard Liam say on a podcast as well. Like he said, and he was making a joke out of it, but I can imagine if I was thrown into F1 randomly, I'd be like, I can't beat Lewis, I can't beat Max. In my head, I would have something like, eventually, I'll get there.
Yeah.
But there is that initial thing of, I think it's really good advice to just realise that anyone at the top of anything in business, in sport, they are just a bloke or a woman.
Yep.
They are
100%.
just a person that is maybe talented, yes, but puts in work where you might not be.
Yep.
And you need to learn from that and learn from everyone around you. And rather than look at them as, or make excuses for them and go, well, their dad was in business, or, they had the funding from a young age to do this.
Yeah.
Whereas you actually just need to get on with it. If you want to do it, you can do it, but you need to be willing to accept that you need to put in the work for it.
And they're nowhere near their potential.
No.
They're probably only 80% of what they could do.
So I've done it myself. When I first started driving, you see a certain driver who's gone past who's won so many races and championships. You're like, wow. And it distracted me. And basically they owned too much real estate in my mind. As I went through the year, built up confidence, showed myself that I could actually take it to these people. I was beating them and level with them the year after. They may have achieved great things, but don't put them up there and put you down here. You can achieve almost anything you want in life. False limits, right? That's what I talk about a lot in this next clip with Ollie Bearman. Again, another false limit, I suppose, but also you being at your best. We talk about the qualifying now in Baku. This is a good insight to how you can just let yourself go and perform at a higher level.
On Ollie Bearman, so you're working closely with him. He's clearly showing signs that he's on the verge of F1 ability.
Yeah.
Last year, he had an unbelievably exceptional weekend in Baku.
Mm-hmm.
where he dominated the whole weekend, and one session in particular where he poled it. He had bent steering.
He was P1 in every session, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
But qualifying, what did you see? What he did in qualifying?
Didn't he hit the wall?
In every session, he hit the wall. So I weren't happy with that.
Yeah.
But that one was quite cool, I must admit.
Yeah, so he poled it with steering left hand down, no?
Yeah. So it was hilarious. The radio, well, it wasn't. I was walking back to the pit lane. Oh, great, it's done.
Yeah.
Come off the corner. Actually, going back to the truck, if you like, the awning. But it was, he hit the wall again. I mean, like, I just knew he was going to do that because he's so fast.
Yeah.
He keeps going.
Yeah.
Right.
Until something gives, or a trap limit or whatever. He is ridiculously quick, and put walls around him for the first time ever. Obviously, he's rushing them because he's being really cocky with them. And this one actually hit the wheel in. Toe link. Oh no, I've destroyed it, guys, or something. I'm coming in, and then there was like a pause of, well, can you drive it? Because the engineer's kind of torn.
Yeah.
To say carry on, or if it breaks, and I've told him to carry on. He injures himself.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. So it's kind of like that sort of decision. How bad actually is it? No, it's not. It's some driver, but it's all over. Like, oh, great. And then somehow the engineer just said, well, just try and get one more lap. And you could see on the straight, it was crabbing. I was like, oh, we're screwed. There's no point. And then it was probably green or purple, sector 1 and 2 and 3. And everyone was just gobsmacked. And you could see it on the replay. It was like this as well. So he basically said it was the scariest lap of his life because every corner he was trying to stay alive. But he was that focused on just maximizing what he got.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all the other crap of how am I doing? Where's my teammate?
Yeah.
What so-and-so thinking? Now, just all that's gone, and he's just putting out small fires all the way around.
Yeah.
Looks up. Oh, geez, really?
Yeah.
And I think that is a real insight to what a driver should be thinking on a hot lap.
But I think
so here,
freed his mind.
Yeah.
You're in.
But I think sometimes as well, sometimes if you have something like that, and it's like John Pratt at iZone, where we will count backwards.
Yep.
Sometimes that's my quickest laps for some reason. For those who don't know what we do, we'll basically get told randomly to count backwards in 3s or 7s or something going around a lap, which I can't do even sitting here normally, let alone whilst driving the car. But it completely takes my mind off the driving, and I haven't even thought about the lap at all. Mm-hmm. And then I've crossed the line and I've gone the 10th quicker than my fastest ever time.
That's the other side to it.
Yeah. But I think maybe in a situation like that where you've got the excuse, if you come in and go, well, it's still your fault, but you go, yeah, I hit the wall and then my toe link was bent and the car was screwed after that.
Yep.
He had that comfort blanket, so you just go out, do the best you can with whatever you got. And like you said, it took so much focus for him to not crash because the car was effed up. Yeah. That he actually pulled out an amazing lap.
And I tell you what he had, and you will experience this, both of you. He had starting a race at the back when you know you quit, starting the race at the back, feeling nothing to lose.
Yeah.
In quali.
Yeah.
No one ever gets that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Not in quali. They're too, I've got to get this right. What have I done?
Yeah.
And it's actually, he had that feeling of just send it, no consequences, I'm screwed anyway.
Yeah.
No expectations in qualifying. Oh my God, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That was
so now I'm trying to recreate that with every driver.
Yeah.
That's
it's a great story for it, really, to be honest. It's
I
like,
bet
just drive.
I know.
That's all you got to do.
That's what it is.
Easier said than done. But if you do let yourself go, literally, and let the mind just flow and let the hind brain, the part of the mind that is doing things on muscle memory, and it's allowing the intuition to come through, and you're feeling the car and you're focusing on the right parts of the corner or what to do. It's amazing what you can do. And the flip side is, if you start to think about what if I don't I'm not very good today? What if I go through there and I make a mistake and I hit the wall? That's the opposite. That's what you call false limits. Make sure that each time you're on track, you analyze this. Was I in? Was I just letting myself drive, or was I holding myself back through some belief or something I was thinking? And I want you to write this down after every session. Was I there? Was I at my best? If not, what can I do? How? Why? What was I thinking? Understand that person. And then what am I going to do the next session? And on the other side, if I was actually at my best and I was quite free in the mind, very focused, concentration levels were really good, how did I do that? What was I thinking there and focusing on? And how can I keep that going for the next time? Really important. You've got to be at your best, otherwise you're just wasting money, wasting time on track. No good to anyone. Okay, back to sponsorship for the next tip. This is Dino Zamparelli's way, and if you've watched my content, you've actually seen me interview him. Go back to the video if you can, if you want to watch it, when I actually ask him about this Bristol bonnet. And his unique way of getting sponsors, which I preach, and I've always preached, but I preach really hard now. Lots of sponsors giving little can add up to a great amount. Here's how we did it.
I'll tell you who, you probably know him, Dino Zamparelli.
Yeah.
Just take a book out of it, page out of his book.
Yeah.
He just had 500 quid sponsors on the bonnet. The bonnet looked horrendous. The Bristol bonnet. All these different stickers, a builder, a plumber, whatever, it doesn't matter, just from Bristol, the Bristol bonnet. And he then had a network party on his car, big gigs at the end of the year to say thank you. They said, I'll put a bit more in. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
It's not easy, right?
Yeah.
He was smashing the phones. It's like when you look at anyone who's a top entrepreneur, they didn't just start with Amazon.
No.
It's like there's such a journey of failures, of working on the market stall, learning the skills that you need. But drivers ain't got the patience. I need the sponsorship in 2 months.
Yeah.
Great.
Plus, you just want to focus on being quicker all the time as well.
Yeah.
It's
It's not your skill set either. That's another thing for most drivers. I can't pick up the phone.
Exactly.
16.
Yeah.
And that's something actually that you teach so much for your platforms.
Yeah.
You actually have a book, right? How to get into racing and everything. It's such an important thing to educate people because there is a lack of knowledge out there.
There's such a lack of knowledge.
There's a big lack of knowledge, and you get sucked into the wrong sort of.
I've done books on pain points for me. Money was the first one, so get the driver's sponsorship. The Warrior's Mind is pretty much mental training for race drivers, and the Parent's Guide, which I think is pretty much like the blueprint for coaching. Do this for your kid. These are the pitfalls to look for, like teams ripping you off, things like that.
Yeah.
And how to actually get the child to listen to you. Because as a parent or as a kid, the parent's the last person that you're going to take advice from, right? Normally.
Yeah.
You'll hear it from the coach or anyone else, but not them. So I think they're the three things that I really wanted to write about.
Yeah.
Because they're the things that stop
Yeah.
progress. Money's the big one.
It is.
But basically, it's like there's so many different ways in a car. I remember going to Spa. This was at the end, and I was like, I've had enough of racing. I was probably nearly 30 or something. Going to Spa with 500 quid in my back pocket, thinking I was going to convince a team to let me drive in the, was it a 4-hour race back then? British GT, but it went to Spa. And I went there, slept in a tent right outside the medical centre, and I nearly got it. It was just one person. It was a Lotus Elise, I think, so it would have been at the back. No good in that championship. Nearly got in. I think it was them. But then their other driver stepped in last second. So close. But that was 500 quid back. I don't know how I got there because I didn't have any money whatsoever. I was working at like Rockingham race school or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's but that actually got me more things having that approach than not. Because everything I drove for free, pretty much, just by what you did. Winning your car.
Yeah.
Just with that sort of conviction. And they're like, okay, I'll need someone to put us up the front.
Yeah.
It's quite hilarious. I just went there to it was a 4 or 6 hour race, I think. So it was a big race with 500. I mean, what would that buy you as a team? It's probably like 2 tyres. Not even that. It's probably 1 tyre. But I was there. I had the confidence to go and speak to the teams and say, I'm here, I'm ready. And I've just got some money to kind of buy some drinks for the team or something, buy some food. And it nearly worked. And if you can imagine if I did that a lot, okay, people are going to be taking the mick at me. Oh, here he is again with his 500. But I didn't care. I just wanted to get in a car and it nearly came off. I'm talking like minutes. This dude just turned up. Probably for the best. I wasn't ready. I probably would have been at the back anyway. Who knows? And I think the car broke down, the one I was trying to get in. But still, it's just that kind of, you've got to be that kind of person if you're chasing your dream. It's not just trying to find out how to do it and what's the best way, what have other people done. I've just got to go out there and do it. There's no other way about it. It's about you applying yourself, taking risks, pushing yourself and selling yourself out there. And if you've got something to sell, like you actually have got results and your speed is there, something's going to happen if you keep banging on them doors. I promise you. And that trip to Spa, even though it didn't come off, proved to me that what I was like back then was working, and I apply that now. I let my younger self motivate me now to do the same techniques to push my coaching career. So it's exactly the same no matter what you do. Okay, second from last clip, delusion and jealousy.
Then all of a sudden something must have sparked me, and racing was everything. I'm going to F1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm racing in club racing with no money, and I'm still thinking I'm going to F1. Absolutely deluded.
Yeah.
I mean, I've won a race in
That's
Croft.
it's a good delusion, though.
Yeah, I won a race in Croft. Is anyone going to notice
No, but
me? Wait for the phone to ring.
In my opinion, to even set out on this journey, in any journey, I think you have to be slightly delusional.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or whatever, when he started Tesla, he went from being worth about 200 million or whatever with PayPal, his shares in PayPal, invested it, basically ended up being the whole thing into Tesla, and then was couch hopping on his mates' sofas.
Yeah.
And people would say to you then, what the hell are you doing? 10 years later, 10 years of doing that, and he's the richest man in the world.
If you said to me, you're setting up back then an electric car, you want a company that does electric cars, mate, don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just do golf buggies. They're the only things that are electric now.
Yeah.
And now everyone's going that way.
He did it anyway.
Let alone everything else.
But it's the same with everything, everyone. And also what I find, I think, is most people around don't like it when you are ambitious because they don't want you to do better than them. And they're not ambitious because they don't think they can do it, and they wouldn't make it. They don't really want to take the risk. So they talk you down. No, just get a job. Don't do that. That's stupid. So how are you going to make money through racing? How are you going to do this? And it's all just trying to bring you back down to their level. There's very few people I meet. I think like Jordan and Kush are the two prime examples, and maybe a couple of my other friends that actually sit there and don't hope it goes wrong for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think
true.
People do that all the time. People, and I've done it with people as well. I look at people, maybe I know them, I don't like them that much, whatever.
Get a puncher, come on.
No, but, and they've moved into F2. They might have a chance at F1. They're doing better than me by some standard, and it annoys you, and you don't want them to do well. And there's so many people like that around you, and I think it's super important to surround yourself not with yes men, but people that are honest with you,
genuine,
and believe in you and are happy for you, someone that you want to go and tell good news to.
Yeah, that's very rare. I mean, it's not many out there. That's the higher you shoot, the more lonely it is.
Yeah,
because you haven't really got much in common.
No,
because you got your, and it is quite daunting, I think, when someone's happy with their life, whatever it is, 9 to 5. They're just happy with that, and you come in and you got all these big ideas. It kind of exposes them, and they feel a bit crap about themselves. Like, screw you. So they can see it that way as well. So I understand that. And when it's when someone that you've beaten is doing really well in their career, that hurts as well.
Yeah.
I had them. I smashed them all year. Now look at them. But you got to get over that and say, right, if they've done it, I can do it.
Better.
What am I going to do today?
Yeah.
And then you get back to work. So it'll always come in, but you just have to keep straight back on track, boy.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their own journey, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they got nothing to do with you. That's something I used to say to drivers that are jealous of others. It's got absolutely nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Because they think there's only so many seats and it's taken away from it. It's not taken. It's just showing it's possible. And get on with your own life. Stop watching social media in their life. Get back.
You do need a degree of delusion. I think you need someone there to kind of keep you in reality and say, look, this is how good you are. You're not actually good enough. Or there's certain weaknesses that we need to address, and you can see where your career's going at the minute. It's not going in a good place, so we need to change something. So I think you need that. But the delusion part of it, of you thinking that you can do it, that belief will make you act, or it will help you act in a way that will get you there. So I think a level of delusion is needed. And if you think about all these people like Steve Jobs, who wants to ping the universe, that was a delusion. He lived in his own reality as well, which we all know about. And it helps. You have to believe in different things from most other people if you want different things than most other people. If you want to shoot higher, you have to believe that you can shoot higher. So delusion's good. And the jealousy side of it, just leave it. It's not needed. Their life has nothing to do with you. You think it has, but it hasn't. You're on your own journey. Okay, to finish off, how I train drivers.
When I'm training, I'd say most of my training is, I'll split it into driving and mental. The teams have pretty much got driving covered now, actually.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it. It starts a crap or overtaking, whatever. You usually got, basically after every round, we pinpoint the things that they're not happy with. So it's very negative.
Yeah.
It's like, right, I got distracted when someone was behind me for too long, started to overdrive and all this. Right, next time we're going to do this. So I think most of my coaching and most coaches, it's all on the weaknesses, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
Areas of opportunity. But I don't hide it. It's like, you won, but my God, that was terrible. You know, you were lucky.
Yeah.
They're so slow or something happened there. It's kind of keeping it there all the time, which sounds really unhealthy, right?
Not really, I mean,
It's just trying to push for the next bit.
You've always got to look out for things that could cause you a failure.
Yeah.
Like even in your highest moment, you know, because there's going to be something.
coming.
They're coming for you.
Complacency is so easy.
Yeah.
Once it starts going well, you just think, I've done it, where you ease off on training, you ease off on your self-analysis. You think, well, I'm the bollocks now.
There's a good story with Gus. He won British GT.
Yeah.
When was it?
2021.
2021 won British GT. Dominated the year, actually.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And John at iZone, Gus's coach, called Gus the Monday after.
Yeah.
How was the weekend? And Gus goes, won the British GT Championship. And then John's like, great, when are you in for training?
Yeah.
I know it sounds negative when you listen to it like that, but it's reality again, right? We've got to be deluded, but we need reality of what is it I actually need to do. If I want to improve, okay, I've got to make my strengths, a bit better, of course, keep them conditioned, but they're strengths. What are the things that are pulling me down? Those are the things I've got to address. I've got to bring them up to being semi-strengths or at least pretty damn good. And then overall, I'm going to improve. So that's really how I coach. And I think most people do it. I've heard the term, bad coaches focus on the things that are not right? But what are you going to do in motorsport? If you are a race driver who's at the top, you've literally a one-man band where you've got to do so many different things. You can't just give it to your PA to do. Like, can you just take that corner for me? Can you just go and talk to that sponsor for me? You've got to do everything. You've got to drive the team. You've got to be able to do all the driving stuff, of course. That's just a non-negotiable. Driving is pretty much just expected. It's all the other stuff as well. You've got to train that stuff in. Right. There's a lot here, right? And I think you'll have to watch certain clips again, things that really do strike a chord with you and that are applicable to your life and what you're going for right now. But I hope you enjoyed it. This was a great interview. I love doing it. I love these guys as well. And pulling it apart and just getting the best bits to give you some nuggets that might just help you on your way is my pleasure. I've loved doing this video. And see you next week.